We're actually going to take those comments that we have from our question, should we take refugees in, after our interview with our special guest, Brigadier Javaid Lodhi from Pakistan. Welcome to the show, Brigadier.
Thank you very much, Dr. Collins.
This is fascinating, Brigadier. You're obviously part of the Pakistani military, and I know we wanted to discuss a little bit about what's going on in Pakistan in relations to Afghanistan and India. Let's start off a little bit with Afghanistan. I know that border between Pakistan and Afghanistan is always a really hot zone. What's going on in that border right now? Do we know?
The border between Afghanistan and Pakistan remained live for the last, I would say, 2 to 2.5 decades. First, we were in Afghan Jihad, and after the US left Afghanistan in 90s, after that we had cross-border terrorist groups toward Pakistan. The Afghan Jihad left us a legacy of foreign jihadis in our fought areas.
Let me ask you this question. There's different Talibans, aren't they, in Afghanistan and Pakistan? They're totally different in a sense?
Yes, I would say they are different because when we were fighting against USSR, the then USSR, we had the global support. These Taliban or Mujahideen at that time, they had the global support. I mean, USA, UK, and all the Western worlds, the Muslim worlds, all kind of these jihadis were coming to these areas, and they had the sponsorships of various countries officially, and they were being taken not only here in Pakistan, they were being taken here in the West also, and especially in USA. I mean, it would not be something very astonishing when I say the girls in Washington Street would like to marry the Afghan Mujahideen, taking them as a warrior and glorified people.
That's an interesting comment.
What happened when Afghanistan, when the USA left that, there was a vacuum. I mean, these people who were fighting, there was a economic chain also. And these groups then, who were using FATA as a launching pad at that time, they had married local girls, they had their families, and there was generations coming up. Meanwhile, this Al-Qaeda came in, and these groups started to be independent and started taking their decision independent. The economic flow which was from West, that stopped. Our intelligence agencies also, I mean, fell short of them, and they started becoming independent. There was from a global effort that they should go to their own countries, but they will not accept them.
And let me ask you this. It seems like you're saying that the Mujahideen were the ones that fought against Russia, correct?
Yes. I mean, at that time, those Mujahideens, and they most of the time, I mean, Pakistan was providing them the support, I mean, logistic support and other, and they were going and fighting in Afghanistan also. And when USSR retreated, and USA also thought that they have met their objective, they did not think that what to do these, I mean, trained people. These jihadis people, they turned into a Taliban at later stage, because the jihadis elements, those who were their leaders, they started fighting themselves in Afghanistan, and among their fightings, they started losing sports of masses, because they started killing each other people. In that vacuum, Afghan Taliban, I mean, Mullah Omar and those people came up. And then government of Benazir wanted to have some relations with them, so that they do not go all out, and we must have some relations. We wanted to stop at our borders, that they must not cross our borders. In that, these Talibans got more strength and Mujahideen, in that case, those leaders, I would not say foot soldiers joined Taliban, and the leaders who were in forefront during Khan Jihad, they retreated back. Some ran away to Iran, some other countries, and these Taliban had only one enemy, and that was Amisha Masood.
Let me ask you this question. Is Pakistan right now, are they concerned about the Taliban within Pakistan? Is there a problem there for them that's really becoming serious?
The problem, Dr. Corliss, is receding now, because the decision taken by the present government, it was, I would say, it was a consensus decision. This army, all political parties, there was an all-party conference, and decisions were taken that what to do. In first meeting, all parties gave the Prime Minister and its government that whatsoever you take decision, either you fight with them or you want to negotiate with them, government can do it. Government first started parleys with these Taliban groups, and they nominated their people also, but that could not, bear certain fruits.
Interesting.
And
Go ahead.
When the establishment and the government thought that no, they are not coming to the negotiating table, and a few incidents also happened, major incidents. You must be knowing that on Karachi base attack was launched by them, and a few casualties were happened, and then government decided to launch the present Zarb-e-Azb operations, and then all political parties, political religious parties, establishment, they were on one platform and they decided to fight it. In my career, I'm seeing as a serving soldiers and then in Ministry of Interior, this was the first time that I saw wholesome operations against these people without any favorites. This operation is now against every groups of the Taliban, and anybody who does not come to the table or who does not agree to the rate of the government. And that is the reason, because I was the Minister of Interior in 2007, and after that in 2008 it started gaining momentum. On 2007 operation against Lal Mosque, there were more terrorist attacks. Now that terrorism incidents are at the lowest step. I would say they are, I would say, if it were 100 in 1 month, it is now 25. Though media say something else. And people in Fatah, there were IDPs, they are going back. And most of the area in Fatah, it is under control of the security forces. Now even security forces are thinking to launch an operations in those areas, in some certain hubs or which are close to the borders, where they come and then flee to Afghanistan. Here, the point where we want that how to, negotiate with the Afghan authorities that this hit and run operations should be stopped.
Interesting. So it sounds like Pakistan's getting some kind of control over there. Let me ask you this question. So is it pretty safe to say, we got a couple minutes left, about 5 minutes here, and I want to get to these couple questions, but is it safe to say that the nuclear weapons in Pakistan are safe right now from any issues with the Taliban or any other organization?
This is being recognized internationally. It is being recognized by internationally, not only the governments, rather other organizations, they who monitor, this nuclear arsenals, they are also quite comfortable with the mechanism which Pakistan has.
Great. And how is the relations between Pakistan and India? I know there's always been strain there. Is it getting better?
Carlos, I just take 1 minute to go into the background. I was just before the program discussing with my son, who is also in the army. Apparently, outside, it looks as if India and Pakistan are always fighting, and I mean, they are very normal relations also. We are doing trades. Our embassies are working around the clock. We have a flag meetings. Paramilitary forces, Director General Military Operations of both the armies. As I told you, we are doing some kind of a trade also. But Dr. Carlos, the trust deficit between these two nations is, to my assessment, is going to persist. I mean, this this last efforts, which is, this government and the Modi governments initially came and they were in some other mood. When Mr. Modi was exposed to international arena, then he came to, I'll not say terms, he came to knowledge that we have to have good relations. He made a visit to Pakistan, and it was well received by all political parties that he came, and we want to, this Pathankot incident happens. It seems that certain lobbies working in Pakistan and India, those do not want that these two countries should come closest. In 2008, I was Minister of Interior, and I went and received the Foreign Secretary at Wagah border. We came, Mumbai happened. Now, Pathankot happened. But I know exactly what was the reaction at that time from India, and I know exactly now, though I was in that, I was a part of composite dialogue between India and Pakistan at that time. I was very much inside, I could say. But now from outside, I see that now Indian reaction is very, sizable, methodical. They are doing investigation. They gave certain leaks to Pakistan. Pakistan today have answered them that the telephone numbers which were given by them, they are not registered in Pakistan. They have not broken coming dialogue between two foreign secretaries so far. They are still scheduled on 15 January, and I think they are going to happen. If this kind of atmosphere persists between these two countries, then the trust deficit is going to reduce. To my understanding, these two countries have come to understanding that we must continue with the dialogue and we must go ahead with that, so that trust deficit is going to decrease.
Absolutely, and I really hope it does. I think that would be a monumental movement if we actually got India and Pakistan to reconcile and be at peace with each other. That'd be fabulous, wouldn't
it? I would, Dr. Carlos, before I go to answer the questions, I would recognize that major countries of the West, Muslim countries, and in our East, China, Russia, they want there should be a good relation between Pakistan and India, because that economic corridor between China and Pakistan, which is coming up, and many other countries want to be part of it. That is the objectives of people of these areas, that we must achieve this corridor. India is going to be part of it, Afghanistan, Central Asian states, Turkey, and Iran, they are going to be part of it.
I say so.
Middle East conflict between Saudis and Iran. This is a matter of great concern for us. Because why a great concern for us? We perceive if it prolongs, then terrorist incident can be on the increase in Pakistan. There can be, if Iran is involved with Saudi Arabia, because we cannot afford to lose Saudis, we cannot afford to fight with the Iranians, because they are next door neighbors, and Saudis are tested friends for the since we came into existence. So this is in Pakistan is a great concern nowadays. This concern is more growing than even India and Pakistan relations.
Interesting.
But what we feel, if India and Pakistan relations remain, it does not go further toward further. These are not further spoiled. This will help us to play a positive role in between Saudis and Iranians.
I hope so. I hope it does turn a lot more peaceful out there in the Middle East. It's a terrible thing. Brigadier Javaid Lodhi, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Dr. Connors. I'm really grateful that we talked to each other.
Yes, likewise. Hopefully we can bring you back to get more updates on Pakistan and the relationships.